Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever Dragon Radar podcast. I am your host Heeroh, joined by my co-host Ajoten. How are you doing?
I'm doing alright, thanks very much, mate. Yourself?
I am doing great, and we'll be discussing all things Dragon Ball. So we've got topics to discuss, controversial opinions to dissect, and people to nominate into our currently empty Hall of Fame. But before we get to that, let us introduce ourselves. So, AJ, what is your first memories of Dragon Ball?
Got to be coming home as a young teenager and watching it on Cartoon Network. Just a favourite of my childhood. I'd literally just come in, it would be the most random of episodes, and it wouldn't really matter. I mean, fortunately, when I did start watching it, it was in the Saga.
Yeah.
So I did kind of start at the right place. I doubt it was episode 1 though, but it was roughly when everyone was getting introduced. I'll be honest, I hadn't seen original Dragon Ball before that. I was one of the folk that came in at Z, so I'm not an OG, but I'm catching up definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same for me. I mean, when I was a little young kid, 5, 6 years old or whatever, getting home from school or whatever, putting on a random episode of Cartoon Network. I remember most of the time it was either like the Frieza saga for me or maybe the Majin Buu saga. I don't remember much of the Cell saga from growing up. It was usually when I watched it back, then I seen more of Cell. But yeah, I definitely remember seeing a lot of Frieza and a lot of Buu when I was younger.
The weird thing is, for me, I didn't see the Buu saga when I first, around the time when I first watched Dragon Ball. So I felt like I'd watched it all when I was a kid, and that was it. And I didn't see the Buu saga as part of that.
Yeah.
It was only later when you get, and if I feel like watching it again properly, rather than just the randomness of being a kid. And then I was kind of like, there's this entire saga that I've never seen. Some people would argue that I would have been better off not seeing it, but
I'm sure we'll get into that in one episode.
Yeah, exactly. But no, this whole new saga that I never saw, and it's great to stumble across more Dragon Ball, and now it's just always about.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, growing up watching it, it was just random episodes. I mainly got into knowing the other characters from playing the games, like the Tenkaichi Budokai games on the GameCube. Introduced me to a lot of different characters. I think that was probably the first time I had seen Cell in one of those games. And yeah, just growing up playing the games. And then maybe when I was like 12, 13, when I wanted to actually rewatch Dragon Ball properly for the first time instead of just random episodes, that's when I started like from the beginning and went through. I did watch all of Z first, but I did go back and watch all the original Dragon Ball as well, and I'm so glad I did. But yeah, lots of fun stuff with Dragon Ball, lots of good memories, lots of long fights, and
more to come with Super coming up as well. Super movie coming up.
Yes, Dragon Ball Superhero. Yeah.
The title.
I don't know how I feel about that title, but
I know how I feel about that title.
I think it's going to be interesting because of Red Ribbon Army coming back, but I'm sure we'll discuss that in a later episode. But for now, we have things to do and a podcast to start, so let's get into our first segment of the podcast, which is Roshi's Rant.
This is Roshi's Rant.
So this is Roshi's Rant, and this is the segment where we will be discussing a topic, and this week's topic is, which Z Saga was Vegeta most impactful in? So, what do you think?
Personally, for me, it's gonna have to be the Buu saga.
Ooh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
Why?
Well, if I look as a quick rundown, we'll talk about it in a bit of depth, but for me in the Saiyan saga, yeah, he's the main bad guy, but when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, does he really do much as the main bad guy other than fight Goku? You could really arguably interchange him with any bad guy for the most part. He's just a generic bad guy. There's not a lot of depth to him. You find out he's the principal Saiyans, but other than that, not. Or you find out he's a really bad dude.
Yeah, this is true. I
Yeah.
guess to defend him a little bit, you could
Oh,
say,
don't get me wrong. You know I love Vegeta,
of
but
course, but
yeah, but
saying
just
he's
it's not
a
as strong as Saga.
saying he's an
Yeah,
interchangeable bad guy. Oh, uh,
yeah,
but I guess I know where you come from at the time. He is the
yeah.
first big bad of Dragon Ball, if you don't count Raditz. Um, nobody counts Raditz. But yeah, finding out he's like the strength of 10 Raditz, and then, he doesn't. His first attack is killing Nappa in one hit, and then
Yeah.
like you're like, oh, okay, this guy's strong, and yeah, he is strong, and because of that saga, arguably, it sets up everything going forward. But I know what you mean, and I also haven't picked the Saiyan saga as his most impactful. I actually picked the Frieza saga. Um,
Yeah.
but before I jump into that, do you want to go through more of why the Buu saga is most impactful for him?
Well, for me, the Buu Saga is, when you say impactful, I don't think it's impactful good or bad. I think what has an impact is both, and everything in that saga. The fact that he obviously lets himself get taken over by Babidi, because his arc up until now has finally become where he's starting to care. So he's gone from the Saiyan Saga Vegeta, and he's now a family man. He's got kids. He cares about people.
Yeah.
And he can't handle that. And he's scared of that, and that's why he lets Babidi take over, so he can be the true warrior that he always wanted to be. He comes in that tournament, and I'm kind of biased here because it's one of my favorite moments in Dragon Ball is him against Goku in the martial arts tournament stadium when he blows up the stadium and everything like that. It puts by that speech. It's a very powerful speech.
Yeah. Goes back to his evil roots.
Yeah, basically. And his debt must be paid. It's just such a line. Love it. But from a story perspective, also the fight that they lead into between Goku and Majin Vegeta awakens Buu. The energy that they put together fighting each other is what causes Buu to awaken. You see a lot of growth through him. You see his final atonement as well. Him accepting that at the end of it, that Goku is in fact number one. He's the stronger one. He also he decides to take the beating from Kid Buu. He knows he's not strong enough to do it. So he basically just says, right, you're the one who can do it. So I'm just happy to take the battering while you are the one that can win it for us.
Yep.
He finally comes to terms with it. And before that, if you ever suggested Vegeta would do something like that, it's just not happening. And it's nice to see growth from a character like that. Like, Vegeta was always the character that had the potential for growth. Like Goku's always just going to be the happy-go-lucky fighter, isn't he? Like Gohan obviously had a lot of chance for growth and everything, but he peaked. It's Cell Saga.
Unfortunately, but yes.
Yes, sadness. But I just feel like there was a lot to him. There was the good, there was the bad, there was what he actually did in terms of the story. I just feel like he impacted the story, but also he is himself as a character. You saw a lot more of him. And so I kind of thought about the Frieza saga, and there's a lot there, and he does matter well, he matters in all of it, obviously, but it does have an impact in the Frieza saga. But I think the story and character, and I think that's why he has the most impact, because some of the most memorable scenes for me in Dragon Ball are things like the final tournament and things like that. They're the ones that stick with you. And I think having those scenes, like in the Cell saga, Gohan killing Cell, it's one of those scenes that always sticks with you. The final tournament is one for me. And so I think that's why, for me, Buu Saga's the one.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff with Trunks, and then he like knocks him out to kind of save him and stuff because Trunks wanted to help out, and just seeing him actually bond with his son, which doesn't happen much, was nice to see. Well, I mean, he bonds with,
but yeah, I know
he bonds with future Trunks, but you don't really see him bonding with Kid Trunks at any point before this, really. So it was nice to see that he actually kind of cares about him.
When does he say, if you can punch me, I'll take you shopping? Is that the start of the Boo saga or something like that?
It might have
remember that
been, but I guess you
Or
don't
is that
really
in the
see it
film?
until
I
Super.
can't remember. I can't remember it. But yeah, I think that's the closest thing to Bond, and other than that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you do have some good points. And I do have to admit, I think out of all of the sagas, the Boo saga probably is the one, apart from the Saiyan saga, but it is the one where Vegeta's kind of focused on the most, just because he is kind of the big bad for a while as Margin, and then the big sacrifice, which, I mean, it doesn't really help in the grand scheme of things.
Useless. Yeah.
But yeah, it's the sentiment there and everything. But yeah, I honestly thought Frieza Saga, he was more impactful because of a couple of things. Like, the Saiyan Saga built him up to be this big bad, and like you kind of say, he is kind of interchangeable. It could have been anyone. The only kind of redeeming factor he has is that he's strong and he's the prince. That's kind of it for up until this point. This is kind of the only stuff you know about him. In the Frieza Saga, he was still a villain. You know, he was still a villain, but his motivations changed. Like, he becomes more of a reluctant anti-hero, I guess. This is when, I guess, the fans started to take more notice of Vegeta, because he started just doing stuff more than just fight. You know, he got more character development. And, you know, he still keeps his brutal side as well. He does kill every member of the Ginyu Force. You know,
Bird to kill.
Yeah.
The bird to stomp.
He didn't even need to kill all of them. Like, Goku knocked them out, and knocked two of them out, and Vegeta still was like, nope, that's not good enough, and kills them. You know, the decapitation of Goldo as well is obviously brutal. But yeah, like, if it wasn't for Vegeta during this whole saga, this is what I mean. This is what I'm trying to talk about when I'm thinking he was the most impactful in the saga. If Vegeta wasn't on Namek, the Ginyu Force would have easily overpowered Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan, and probably, if they teamed up, would have been able to overpower Goku as well with Frieza's help. And, you know, Vegeta also kills Dodoria and Zarbon, which are two of Frieza's more, like, closer henchmen, I guess. So Vegeta, he racks up the body count in this saga, you know? He is changing, and, like...
But he needs a second crack at Zarbon, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does need a second crack, but he still ends up getting him. He does kill him in the end. But it's like, he shows in this saga that it's not all about himself, because for this one, he's actively trying to stop Frieza from getting his wish of becoming immortal, which is why, without him stealing the Dragon Balls, Frieza probably would have got his wish granted. Which is
still hilarious, like when he throws the Dragon Balls across the planet from the ship.
Like, imagine if Vegeta wasn't there, Krillin, Piccolo, and Gohan probably would have got overpowered, and Bulma, I guess she was there as well. You know, the Ginyu Force and Zarbon and Dodoria would have got the Dragon Balls a lot quicker. Frieza would have got his wish because Goku wouldn't have made it there in time, and yeah, the whole series could have changed from that point if Vegeta wasn't there to kill people and to kind of slow down Frieza getting the Dragon Balls, which is great. You know, but the biggest point that I think was impactful in this entire saga was actually Vegeta's death. Because it's the first time, like, he's still ruthless, he's still, you know, that badass anti-hero type character throughout the saga. But during his death, when Frieza kills him, and he's, well, just before he dies, and he's lying on the floor talking to Goku, it's the first time he's, like, vulnerable, and he pushes his pride to the side, and he's talking to Goku, talking about how Frieza destroyed his race, destroyed his planet, and he tells Goku, like, all through the saga, he's like, I want to power up, I want to be the legendary Super Saiyan, and he tells Goku, like, actually, you're the true Super Saiyan. And it's like a big moment, because it's like, wow, you don't expect to hear this from Vegeta, who up until this point has been kind of just this guy who goes around killing people.
Basically, he begs him to beat him, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's the first time, like, you see him actually team up with Krillin and Gohan to help out, which, after the Saiyan saga, with Krillin having the chance to kill him, but Goku telling him to stop, it's like, you wouldn't expect Vegeta, of all people, to team up with Krillin, who was trying to kill him, but he does, just to take out the Ginyu Force, because he needs to. He sees the higher aim here, which is to stop Frieza, and he puts that aside to team with Krillin, which is great. And he even asks Krillin to... he trusts Krillin to not kill him, but to almost kill him. And Krillin puts a hole through his chest, which works.
Never seen Krillin so powerful, by the way. Like, could he have not done that in the Saiyan saga?
Imagine if Krillin just put in like an extra 5% effort and actually kills Vegeta outright right then. Imagine what difference that would have made with Vegeta actually dying instead of being close to death. But of course, I mean, you know, when Dende heals him, he still thanks him by kicking him to the side. But you know, he doesn't want to become too soft by just saying, "Oh, thank you." But no, he still kicks him to the side and say, "Yeah, thanks," and then gets back to his
small
business.
green child.
But yeah, this is Vegeta kind of at his best. I think he shows his ruthless side. He shows that he can still be vulnerable. He shows that you know, he can actually like put aside his pride and focus on a better aim of trying to stop a bigger evil. And this, like, I think out of every character in Dragon Ball, Vegeta does have the best overall arc throughout the entire series. Just the way he grows from being ruthless to being a bit more vulnerable, to being caring, to starting a family and everything. But I think the Saiyan saga is where, not the Saiyan saga, the Frieza saga is where it all begins.
No, it's decent. I mean, because I thought about him in the Android Cell saga, and he basically just he screws the pooch every second he gets. He lets Cell evolve. He screws over everybody there. He literally does nothing but cause problems. The only time he does pretty much anything particularly positive is at the end when he hits Cell with an energy blast to distract him.
Yeah.
So that Gohan can finish it. It's like, it's pretty much, in the grand scheme of things, the only true positive thing that he does.
It's true. Like, when I was thinking back to research this topic a bit more, I was looking back in each saga and seeing what he did, and I was like, he was just a nuisance in the Cell saga. He was so annoying at times. Like, his character growth in the Frieza saga was great, and even at the start of the androids before Cell, it was still growing because you see him like become more, well, not friendly, but he interacts more with other people without wanting to kill them, with all the Z Warriors and Goku and that, and then obviously he starts his relationship with Bulma, and very quickly has a kid. But
hanging about.
After Cell is introduced, he's nothing but a pain, and he kind of regresses a bit. But yeah, he's definitely the beginning of the true Vegeta arc is during the Frieza saga. But I
will agree with that.
Yeah, the Buu saga, he definitely has his big moments, and I would agree that he is probably the main part of the Buu saga for a good while, especially during the Margin stages. But yeah, he does good. Vegeta's always around, whether good or bad.
He's our boy. He's our boy, Vegeta.
He's the guy. But yeah, gotta love Vegeta, no matter what saga he's in. So I guess you guys in the comment section, what do you think? Do you think Vegeta was at his peak in the Saiyan saga? You know, the Frieza saga, Cell saga, maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. Or the Buu saga for the list of Z sagas, at least. Anyway, leave a comment down below, and I'm sure we'll look at it and judge you silently. But yeah, let's move on to our second segment of the podcast, which is the Hall of Fame.
And now it is time for the Hall of Fame.
So next up is the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame is every week we bring up a topic and we both fight it out to see which one we think is more deserving of entering the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And for this week, we have the worst transformations in Dragon Ball.
Yes, and there's
What's
a lot
yours?
of them. there is a lot of transformations. It seems like nearly every character in the anime can transform.
True.
But I had two, and the one I ended up going with, I will tell you the second one after I find out yours, but the one I went with is Frieza's third form. Frieza's third form is a mess. It's annoying. It was a waste of time. It was literally just filler. And Toriyama himself even said that he didn't like drawing the third form and regrets having it, which is why he just wanted Frieza to transform again quickly, just so he could stop drawing it. And that's why it only appears in 2 episodes. It's only in 2 episodes for an on-screen total time of less than 15 minutes. It appears in the second half of one of the episodes, and it's gone before the end of the first half of the next episode it appears in. And during that time, nothing really happens too much. Like, he attacks Piccolo, and all the third form proves is that he's faster than Piccolo, because he chases Piccolo, and Piccolo's like, "You can't catch up to me," and he does. And so Frieza proves that he's faster than him, which we can kind of guess he would be anyway. I mean, Frieza's already proved that he's like the strongest guy in the anime at this point. So you think he's just transformed, he's gonna be faster than Piccolo, and he proves it. And then he starts like firing some of his beam blasts at Piccolo, and Piccolo's just in midair going dying, and Gohan.
Brilliant impression.
Because he doesn't fall, he's just being hit by endless finger beams. And Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta are just kind of at the sidelines, like, should we interfere? And Vegeta's like, no, let's not do that. And Gohan's like, I need to. And he rushes off, and Krillin tries to stop him, and Vegeta stops Krillin and says, don't do that. And,
no.
Yeah, it proves that this is probably the worst of his forms, because Gohan, at this point, hasn't really done too much of note during this saga, and he fires his wild rush blaster at Frieza, and Frieza struggles with it. Like, he is holding it back, and he can't push it back, and he's getting closer and closer to the floor, dying pretty much. He's close to death from Gohan's blast, and it's like, this is Frieza's third form. This is the closest at this point that Frieza's been to dying, and it's from a blast from Gohan, who at this point, you think, yeah, Krillin probably maybe stronger than Gohan at this moment. Vegeta definitely stronger. Piccolo definitely stronger. Goku definitely stronger. But Frieza's almost dead because of Gohan right now from one blast. And it's like,
it's just because he's attacking his dad, isn't he, man?
Yeah, he's attacking his dad. Piccolo's almost dead. Gohan's like, Dad! And he rushes off to save him. And he almost does, because Frieza almost dies here. And it's only when Gohan starts to run out of energy, that's when Frieza pushes it back. But he's so close to dying, he's almost on the floor. And he pushes back the beam, and Piccolo deflects it, pretty much. And that's it. That's it. That's all third form Frieza does, because after he deflects the beam, he's like, okay, I don't have time anymore. Let's just get this over with. I'm going to transform again. Just give me a second. And then spends the next 5 minutes whilst Vegeta and Krillin and everyone else are talking, just going, powering up into his fourth and, final.
Stand to Dragon Ball, to be fair.
Just powering up into his final transformation. But yeah, the third form is just bad. And the only thing it does is make Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan scared for a little while. But he does nothing of note. Piccolo's not mortally wounded by these beam blasts, and he almost dies from Gohan. So, worst transformation has to be Frieza's third form. But what did you pick anyway?
I have picked the ultimate plot device, and that is the GT Vegeta Super Saiyan 4 transformation.
All right.
The Blutz waves.
Okay.
basically, you've got Goku, who becomes Super Saiyan 4. He turns into his great ape. He has to go through basically an entire existential crisis through speaking to Pan and everybody and finally powering down and truly embracing who he is to become Super Saiyan 4. Vegeta turns up, gets shot with a laser gun, and does the exact same thing. It's the dumbest transformation in the history of transformations. It's just not. It's basically like it's not necessarily created. It's not necessarily created by GT because there is a precedent for it. Back in Saiyan Saga, you've got the same pods can create false moons, or if you're an elite Saiyan like Vegeta is, he can create his own false moon when he did Burst Open and Mix. So it does technically there's a precedent there for it. However, if it was that easy that you could just blast them with more of that between the start of the Saiyan Saga and up to where it's happening in GT, that's like it's 20 years, something like that,
quite a
from
long
the time
time.
frame, depending on the dub that you're watching.
Yeah.
You not would have thought that Vegeta would have thought, right, I wanted to be a Super Saiyan. Apparently, I can be a super duper Saiyan if I just hit myself with more of these rays. Like, it's not earned. It's such a stupid plot device that Bulma can basically shoot you with a laser gun and you become a super Saiyan. It's like, why didn't you just do that in the Cell Saga then?
Yeah, this is probably one of the main reasons why GT is not considered canon because of things like this.
Exactly. But we did say Dragon Ball. We didn't say.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's fine.
And it's basically just it's taken what was arguably there slightly from the false moons and just gone way too far because you saw how much Goku struggled with it. And basically, all that happened with Vegeta is he turns into the Great Ape, Super Saiyan version. You can control it, which fair enough. He can control his Great Ape in the Saiyan Saga. That's fine. But how does he change that into the Super Saiyan 4? I watched it today. I watched the transformation and the amount of time it took. He does it in about 4 seconds. So he has the controlled ape, and he's like, "You won't let it control me." And then he's like, "Add on, I'll do a power flex." And then he's Super Saiyan 4, and it's like, I've just watched Goku do it, go from Great Ape to this, and like he's seeing the stars, and he's like having this whole thing going on, and it's just like, nah, none of that happens with Vegeta. It's just lasers. So it's like it's not necessarily how it looks; it's how it happened. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, the transformation's bad. I guess the only redeeming factor is that people do find the Super Saiyan 4 form as pretty cool. I guess
it is, but like Goku's is earned.
Yeah,
in some capacity, like GT earned, but it's still earned. And just it's just one of the worst things I hate. Excuse me, in a TV program or anything like that, and even when it happens in Dragon Ball, is when something happens and it's not earned. Yeah, like all the things, like the first Super Saiyan change from for Goku on Namek. It's like you see all the pain he has to go through. The Super Saiyan 2 Gohan to defeat Cell, all everything he has to go through. It's truly earned. It's there. It means something. To then see that happen is just a joke. It's like laser beams. Like, how? You can't be doing that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
I mean,
do not approve.
There's a lot of transformations across Dragon Ball which are questionable at best. I had some backups.
Same.
But like the reason I picked Frieza's third form is just because it's ridiculous. It doesn't last long. I don't know anyone who actually likes third form. It doesn't even look good. He looks like an alien xenomorph character, pretty much.
Discount.
Yeah, it's completely ripped off. They were probably watching some Western movies at the time and thought, the design is pretty good. Let's try and incorporate something, maybe do a bit of a tribute. But even Toriyama didn't enjoy it. He didn't like it, which is why he got rid of it so quick.
I I mean, I'll be honest, I don't particularly like second form either. It looks kind of dumb as well, personally.
It is
But
pretty dumb,
third is
but
worse, yeah.
at least second form looks better than the third form and lasts a bit longer. Third form does nothing. It doesn't add to the story. It doesn't do anything. He doesn't kill anyone. He doesn't even hurt anyone. It's literally just slight filler just to get to his next form. Yeah.
I think they actually recognize that in Super as well with Frost. I think they pretty much take the mick out of it, where they're like, okay, we know it's not your last form. Keep going. Keep going. Keep transforming. We know it's not your worst.
Yeah.
They just take the mick out of it totally. And I think if they're even recognizing that there, then it's clearly not a great transformation.
Yeah, I mean, the other options I could have picked but didn't go with. The main backup I had was Super Saiyan 3. I know a lot of people like this transformation, but the reason I had it is because it's just completely redundant now. I mean,
100%.
it came out of nowhere. Like one day, Goku just struts along up to Majin Buu and is like, yeah, I can do this now. And look at my hair, it's all long. And that's kind of it. I don't think it looks great. I mean, a lot of people do like how Super Saiyan 3 looks with the long hair, but the no eyebrows just doesn't make sense because no other transformation has the no eyebrows, which...
I think people put the argument in that it's supposed to make him more like a monkey. It's more it's leaning towards the great ape part of it, and that's why he has the brow, and it's like, okay, but where are his eyebrows? But the thing is, I think with that as well, is it's not earned. It happens off screen.
It just comes out of nowhere. Goku's just like, oh yeah, I learned how to do this, and bam, here it is. And it's set up all the fan fictions for future forms. I don't know if you ever seen that online. It was like Super Saiyan 1000 or whatever, where Goku has like the silver hair. It's all over the place, giant, and it's like that was online for a long time. Because people just kept adding more and more hair, like this is Super Saiyan 5, this is Super Saiyan 6, and the hair just gets longer and longer. And it's like...
I've seen the Super Saiyan 3 Nappa. That was always funny.
Yeah, with the giant hair and the long mustache.
All the way down to his feet.
And it's like, it was all because of Super Saiyan 3 with the long hair. It was like, okay, Super Saiyan 1, his hair doesn't get longer. Super Saiyan 2, the hair doesn't get longer. Super Saiyan 3, okay, now it's extremely long. Like, why?
It's really spiky in 2, but mostly the difference is the lightning for the most part.
And the only stuff it could do, like you said, it's like 10 times stronger than Super Saiyan 2. So why don't they use it more? Like, Goku even says he could have killed Buu at the time, but he doesn't. And it's like, Gotenks also uses it, but both of them can't use it for long because it drains that much energy, but it does give them that giant power increase and giant speed increase. But no one else learns it because it's completely redundant. It's like, okay, after that, it's like, well, Gohan goes into the Ultimate Gohan route. Trunks doesn't bother learning it. Everyone else, well, Vegeta doesn't have it ever. It's like, okay, well, now we've got God and everything else. But it's like, they don't use it anymore. Super Saiyan 3 is a waste of time.
Does he use it when Shaolin Caulifla forms?
He does. He goes through all the forms that he has, and he shows off slightly. But again, it's like he doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's literally like the only time it's been used.
Yeah,
any real time recently. Yeah,
and it's, in my opinion, it's a bad transformation. But Frieza third form, that was my pick anyway. You said you had a backup. What did you have?
It was a weak one, but it is the most redundant change in all of, and it's Caterpie from the Otherworld tournament.
Caterpie
against. Which it made me think of the Pokemon, but there's if you look it up, there's actually it's Caterpy.
Right. I honestly can't even remember this.
Yeah, someone Goku fights in the Otherworld tournament, literally just a giant caterpillar, and he turns into a chrysalis in order to massively turn into his ultimate form. However, it takes 1,200 years to complete, and so the bout gets set in Goku's favor because they're not going to wait that long.
I remember. That honestly, that could have been a huge contender for worst transformation. If you had picked that, I would have probably been like, I might actually agree with it.
There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, I remember that guy now. I didn't remember his name, but I remember that. Okay.
So it's like there's not a lot of explanation behind it because it's pretty self-explanatory about why it's so bad.
So just give us 12,000 years and then we'll continue the fight. It's like, well, no, we're not going to do that. Imagine though, if like, well, it's never, Dragon Ball's never going to advance 12,000 years in the future to find out what this form is. But imagine if somehow they end up going back to this random character just to see what the transformation's like. That would be pretty
Comes
cool.
out when everyone's just dead. Like even the Kais are dead. And
that would be quite funny just to see that happen. But obviously, that's never going to happen. I don't even think any of the other World Warriors are technically canon, so it doesn't count anyway. But yeah, I guess those are our nominations. We have Frieza third form and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's transformation being unearned. So leave a comment or vote in our polls. There will be polls on both Instagram and Twitter. You can find the links down below. Go vote and we'll find out who gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, the first ever member of the Hall of Fame, in the next episode. But right now, we'll move on to the hot takes.
Hot take.
Alright, so this is Hot Takes, the segment where I have researched a controversial opinion about Dragon Ball that some random person has posted online, and we will talk about it and decide whether or not we agree with it, whether we disagree with it, whether we think it is just a trash opinion, or whether, whether they've got a point. Maybe what they're saying is a good idea and maybe they should have done that instead. So, this is what I found online. It's a controversial one, but we'll see how you feel about it, and I'll talk about how I feel about it as well. So, This post is, Android 17 should never have been in the Tournament of Power. He had too much focus and lasted the longest in the Tournament of Power, whilst fan favourites like Piccolo, Krillin and Tien got eliminated a lot earlier, and Yamcha wasn't even in the arc, even though he says that he wants to be asked and stuff, but he's never asked to join. There were a lot of different opinions, well, a lot of different options that could have been in the team without needing to bring 17 back into the show, because he's last seen during the Android saga and then he's brought back in Super. So, what do you think about that? Do you think he should have been brought back? Do you think there was other options? Do you agree with this, or how do you feel?
Yamcha was never getting in the team. That's the first thing I take away from that. And Tien, a fan favorite?
I mean, maybe not so much Tien, but 17
Yeah,
last
no,
longer
it's
than
just
Piccolo
one
and
of
Krillin.
said Tien, but yeah, I agree with
Even
but
Gohan.
Piccolo and Krillin were there. I'd say Krillin, although he got knocked out early, he got his moment. He got
did.
his moment in the sun. Piccolo's elimination was ludicrous, but we still had those couple of moments with Gohan that were really impactful. Like when Gohan eliminates a universe, I can't remember which one it is, and he picks up the locket, and basically they have the moment where it's just like, come on, we need to go, and it's like you feel it for a second, and then you've got obviously the Gohan covering Piccolo charging up, which is a throwback to the Saiyan saga. So Piccolo gets his moments. They do him dirty with that elimination though. I think the biggest issue I have with 17 being there was how strong he was. Like, basically, Goku turns up and finds him, and he's holding off God power.
Yeah. I know, where did this power increase come from?
By protecting squirrels.
All he's doing is killing some, well, maybe not killing, but destroying some diggers and stuff like that who are trying to destroy the forest.
So it's I think when that originally happened and he was so powerful, that threw me. And so I thought, I kind of rolled with it after it happened, but I did think I wasn't a fan of it when it first happened. But I thought he was great throughout. I think he was funny. He had some good one-liners and everything like that. His interactions with Ribrianne, and everyone was hate Ribrianne, but love the interactions. He carried his own as a character. He was very good. I thoroughly enjoyed him throughout. And I don't see why they shouldn't have focused on him as much as they did, because by the end there were those three. There was Goku, Frieza, and 17,
Yeah.
and they all got a lot of screen time. Frieza got his one-liners out. Goku had his Ultra Instincts, and and I think it was a nice thing that 17 won it, because if Goku won, it would have just been Goku wins again. Obviously, Jiren can't win it. Frieza cannot win it because you can't have who's technically a bad guy
win the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It would just be weird because he'd have the Super Dragon Balls. Like, it makes sense. 17 is the sort of person who would make you think for a second, is he gonna vote for his family cruise? Like, there's not a really lot in him where you could 100% say he's gonna vote back the universes. There's gonna be a part of you in the back of your mind that remembers that he's from the Android saga. He was a bad guy. You haven't seen enough of him since then. Like the person said, you haven't seen enough of him to know how redeemed he truly is. And so I thought it was really good that they had him win. I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah, I agree. It was unexpected to see Android 17 win the entire thing. And at the same time, though, I do kind of agree with this guy. Maybe not that he shouldn't have been in it, but maybe that he had too much screen time, and maybe his role could have been replaced with Gohan getting further instead. Show that Gohan can last until the end. Show he's a bit more powerful, even though he hasn't been training as much. Show that he's still got it in him as a top fighter and stuff. Even Vegeta could have been there at the end. Did it have to be 17? Maybe not. Did he have to be brought back at all? He didn't need to be. Boo could have easily entered instead of him. Boo was there. They just didn't need to make him fall asleep.
You really wanted Boo there, didn't you?
I like Boo as a character, and I think it would have been fun to see him in the tournament. But
Fit Boo.
Yeah, Fit Boo. It was an interesting new form for him, and I wanted to see more of it. But maybe we will if he's ever brought back. Maybe in this new film, maybe he's still working out. Maybe he appears, does a cameo or whatever.
I think I've seen something about some stuff online about they are going to wake him up or something. I mean, it could just be theories and everything, but I can't imagine they'll just cut him out the show.
I mean, in the films, they usually don't include every character, so maybe he's not involved at all. But I see this guy's point that he didn't need to be in the Tournament of Power. There was plenty of options. They could have brought Yamcha, even though he's definitely not matching up power level to anyone else in the team. They could have brought him. They could have brought Boo if he didn't fall asleep. But it was nice to see him back, and I think he is a good character. I think he was always liked during the Android saga as well. He was like this cool, cocky android. He was the front man of the three androids, like 16, 17, and 18. He was the main one out of the three. And it was nice to see him come back into the show. So I half agree. I don't think he should have been cut because it was nice to see him back, but I also agree that there was other replacements available. But I do agree with the fact that I think maybe someone else should have got his screen time and got the big ending. They didn't need to give Android 17 all this feature and make him win the entire thing since he's been gone for so long. But yeah,
I think in terms of they give him so much screen time throughout, it suggests to me that they're going to make him a continuing character. I don't think they're just going to give him that much screen time, develop him that much, and then just not make him a super fighter. He's going to have to be. And I think it was like I was saying before, like you can't have Goku win it, you can't have Frieza win it. It's like who's the last person who's going to be Yamcha? It's like it's just not the same, is it? It's, without like Boo would have been a choice, but other than Boo, who could you have classed as an impactful fighter? Like Roshi, like you couldn't have Roshi. His time in the sun during that tournament was unreal.
Yes,
like when he
of
dies
course.
and everything like that. Like
Maybe my favorite episode in all of Dragon Ball Super.
yeah,
I
like it
think
was a
it probably
brilliant
is.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you're gonna do? Do that twice. Like Tien only eliminates one person before he falls out. That's the most Yamcha could have done. Like
Yeah. It would have.
that's how effective he is. So what you're gonna do? Just then. So you've got rid of two weak fighters on your team, Ken and Yamcha. They just wouldn't have done anything if only got one person out each.
Yeah, I mean, they did kind of build it up to show that Universe 7 isn't one of the stronger universes and it's actually one of the weaker ones. So it would make sense, kind of, to have Yamcha in the team. And also, I think it would have been nice to, because they even leaned into it with Super. Like, Yamcha throughout Dragon Ball, OG Dragon Ball, was actually a big character, and you could tell he trained with the martial arts and all this stuff. Even though he got eliminated from tournaments early, he was still a martial artist, and he kept up with Krillin and Tien at the time. In Dragon Ball Z, he becomes a bit of a joke and takes a backseat in fights, and especially after Dr. Gero ends him for the second time.
How didn't he die?
Yeah, it's like Yamcha realizes, like, okay, I can't keep up with these guys anymore, and he just kind of stops fighting from that point. He realizes himself. But if he was in this tournament, because they even made a joke of it in the filler episode with the baseball episode where he kind of dies again. They've made him into a meme, a full meme, and it's like it would have been nice for Yamcha to be on the team just to have this one redeeming bit where he just eliminates one guy and proves his worth. Even if it's just one person, they could have had him eliminate any singular person. Imagine if Yamcha hits the Wolfang Fist and the person who he hits is in that Yamcha pose. And he's like, yes, I did it, and throws him out. And it's like, Yamcha's feeling good. He could have got eliminated a second later and turned back into a joke instantly. But for that one moment, yeah, he gets his moment, and I think it would have made sense, with Universe 7 being a weaker universe. He was an option.
I mean, at the start of the Saiyan Saga, isn't he basically like the strongest Z fighter? Like, doesn't he seriously handle one of the Cybermen?
Yeah.
Pretty sure he puts a beat down on one of the Cybermen, doesn't he?
He does.
Before
he's the first to rush in. He is the first to rush
in. So he gets a couple of hits out, but yeah, I think that's his literal final moment.
Yeah, he gets sneak attacked by a Cyberman and blown up. Not his fault.
I mean, he even they even take a mick out of it in Super itself, where he's like, it would have been nice to have been asked.
He's waiting, like, while they're going through the entire team trying to pick members. Yamcha's in the background, just like talking to Pua, saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure they'll come around soon and ask," and then they just don't, and it's like it's kind of heartbreaking. It's like, Yamcha was waiting to prove himself after all this time of being a joke. He was waiting for the invite, and it just didn't happen. There is another option. Like, they brought Frieza back from hell. They brought him back to life for this tournament. Imagine if they also just decided, okay, we need one more person. How about we bring back Cell? And imagine if Cell and Frieza, the interactions between them, who have never had interactions before, just to see how they would have acted on the team. Two completely evil beings on the same team. Frieza's already a handful by himself, but Cell is completely unpredictable because he has no reason to be there at all, really. But imagine if they were like, we just need a strong fighter, and Cell is one of the strongest fighters. Let's bring him back. It would have been interesting to see the dynamic changes there and how Cell would have interacted with everyone who killed him as well.
Especially Gohan as an adult.
Yeah, seeing
the boy wonder growing up.
Yeah, Cell interacting with adult Gohan and all the flashbacks and things that could have happened, the interactions between them. There was definitely options, and I see this guy's point.
I think you could apply the same point to Frieza.
Yeah, of course.
You haven't seen Frieza since why does he necessarily have to come back?
Yeah,
like you could apply it to a lot of people. Why did Tien have to come? Well, okay, Tien makes a bit more sense, but yeah, like you could have. Like, Frieza's great, don't get me wrong, I love Frieza.
Yeah,
but
I'm glad he was brought back.
Yeah, but the premise of bringing back a random person, technically Frieza's pretty random. Like, no one could have guessed if he said, "Oh, there's going to be a tournament of power and there's going to be 10 fighters." Who would have turned around and said, "Oh, I can't wait for Frieza to be one of those fighters"? Nobody, not
It's
a person.
true. I mean, they even teased Boo for a long time because Boo was part of the team, and like Frieza wasn't thought about. It was only when Boo fell asleep it was like, oh god, okay, we need someone else instead. So it was even teased like we weren't expecting Frieza at all, and they brought him back. But also, it's like if Boo was part of the team, out of everyone else, Yamcha was there. I think he is kind of the only option. I'm trying to think of other people right now who they could have picked. He was a strong fighter who was alive. And it's like, there is Yamcha, who is the weakest of all of them, but it's like, he was an option. And that is kind of
would have been interesting if Oob was there, like,
yeah,
if they'd followed on from the end of if they kept him at the end of if they kept that and went and rolled with it properly, and Oob turning up and making him a stable character.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
I guess the only point is that at the end of Z they did a time skip, which is why Trunks and Goten are older. Pan is entering the tournament to fight.
It's true.
So Oob probably
is alive
at this point.
Yeah. Because it's only 3 years, it's like 5 years, but then it's only 3 years or something. Like, yeah, there's a time differential.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was probably other options, but so I'll agree with that. But I don't think it was a bad choice by any way. I think one of the reasons they didn't go with Boo is because the amount of limited dialogue you get from him. He's not an intelligent person. He's just, you'll only get fighting out of him and odd high pitched comments. Like,
the only redeeming factor is that he did have a new form, and he does have maybe one of the most unique fighting styles out of everyone on the team. Like, because most of them are just martial arts based. Boo is completely random. He twists his body around, does all these random moves. He's a fun character. It would be nice to see him fight. Yeah, there isn't really anyone else. They could have tried to get Gotenks in, because obviously they only needed one fighter. It would have been nice to, even though the transformation doesn't last, it only lasts half an hour. So it's like they could have tried.
Helmet jump out in 29 minutes.
Yeah, and it's like if they brought him in and they tried to sneak him in as one fighter, and then, because like the tournament states you can't kill them, you just gotta eliminate them. So, both Goku and Vegeta, the dads of the group, they know that the kids aren't going to die. Well, unless they lose the tournament. But they know that they're a strong fighter when fused, so it's like they could try and get them in. And maybe they get disqualified and both of them just get eliminated once they unfuse. But they could have lasted half an hour.
Could have given the Pitaro.
Yeah, they could have done that. See how that works. Would have been
that would have been a different form, wouldn't it?
It would have been a different form. So that would have been the first time seeing a Trunks Goten Pitaro fusion. Pitaro fusion, yeah. So like
Trogangs or something weird like that.
Yeah, that could have been interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot.
That can be reversed, couldn't it? They just how to reverse that and everything. Like they just basically shattered the earrings. So that's what happened to Kefla.
Yeah.
They got confused as soon as they shattered the earrings.
Exactly. So it could have happened, maybe, potentially. Who knows?
Yeah.
There was a few options, but I'm glad they brought back Android 17. I kind of agree with this guy that maybe he shouldn't have had the full focus, or as much focus as he did. Like they could have gave it to Gohan or anyone else, Vegeta more, whatever. But yeah.
No, I'd say I'd give it a 50-50. I wouldn't say it's a trash take, but I definitely don't 100% agree with it.
Yeah, I think we're both in agreement with that. And that brings us to the end of the podcast. So I hope everyone listening enjoyed it. And if you did, please like it up and subscribe down below. And look forward to episode 2. It will be coming soon. And we'll be back again with new discussions, the winner of the Hall of Fame, and a new Hall of Fame pick to go in. And yeah, we'll be back again. So we will see you next time.
Thank you very much. See you then.